Hi, everybody. Sherri here again, and I am super excited to have a wonderful wow warrior with me today. And I'm excited to introduce you to Mona Tenjo. Welcome, Mona, to the Wow Warrior Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Sherri.
So, I first want to acknowledge that you are a 2024 Wow Warrior, and we are just getting ready to leap into the 2025 candidates. But we always want to celebrate all of our Wow Warriors. I do want to have you share a little bit, Mona, with us about what you do. I know you have a varied background. So you've done lots of things. I would say you've lived lots of lives leading up to your entrepreneurial journey. But just tell us a little bit about what you do and how you serve your clients, Mona.
Sure. So I help my clients who are mainly heart centered coaches. So these are people who want to make an impact, who want to make the world a better place. And I help them to actually use technology and especially nowadays AI to grow their business. And to do it in a fun way and to do it in an easy way without all the tech overwhelm and all of it, what comes with it. So I help them to be focused on what really works, give them very practical things, and help them to really learn that skill as they go along so that they don't have to be dependent on other providers, having to wait for people, and just being faster in getting their ideas to the market.
Love that. And see, this is why you spark such joy for me because I'm not a techie. And I love that you are that person that is that go between that helps really entrepreneurs and especially coaches that have a real passion for helping people, but they might not be passionate about that tech part. And so it's like it slows them down to the impact they can have because they get all wound up about the tech. And I love that you love that kind of thing and it's your lane and you're excellent at it, but also that you don't judge or get any kind of way that somebody just because it's not their thing. So that was the thing that drew me to you first. We had just a connection call and I was like, oh man, this woman is amazing. And I love that because I think tech is a man's thing, I think, for tech more people, more men in that space. Let me just put it that way. So I think that actually is a huge plus, to have you in that space, to be especially helping women. I know you would help anyone, but and that's a question for you. Do you have a preference when you're working with coaches and things like that? Do you work with both men and women?
I do work with both. I tend to work more with women because women are more honest in admitting that they don't really know how to use tech, while men are like, I have to figure it out, I'm the man. But I also have some men who are like, it's not my expertise. It's not what I'm striving to do. So I just need help. So there are also men who I really enjoy working with, but preferably, mainly it is women who actually seek the help.
Yeah. And that makes sense, I think. And I'd like to see that evolution that women are starting to speak up for themselves and say, hey, I'm not really good at that. And I do need that extra support in that area to be able to impact the way that I want. And I know that is a really hugely important thing for you is to make sure that the coaches and things that you work with are having the impact at the level that they want, which is just endears me to you. But I do want to point out that you may have noticed that Mona has a slight accent. Her English is amazing. Tell us where you're from, Mona.
I'm from Germany.
Yes, my daughter-in-law is from Germany, so I have a soft spot for Germany, but just goes to show too that our WoW warriors are very international. And the thing that I'd like to acknowledge too, Mona, is that how what's the word I want to say? You are so willing to meet people where they are in whatever time zone. I'm not sure when you sleep, Mona, but because I know you work all different hours because you have clients literally all over the world. Is that correct?
That's true. And that's partly also why. So I'm a night owl. My usually best time is starting at 10 p.m. when other people go to bed. This is my best working time. Usually I am up late. I hate early morning meetings. So try to avoid those ones, like ideally not before 10 a.m. Then I'm back at working. So I do sleep a few hours, yes, but usually my day starts a little bit later than some other entrepreneurs. But also because I work with many people from the Pacific time zone, which is a 9 hour difference, which works really well with my biorhythm. So that's okay.
There you go. That's right. And I think that kind of I always like to point that out when I hear things like that is because people will always say, oh, the early bird gets the worm. And I'm like, that's actually not accurate. You get the worm when you do the work, no matter
Yeah.
what time of the day it is. It's about doing the do, right? And I think you're proof of that because you are extremely successful. So you did touch on something that I do want to have us flesh out a little bit because there's a lot of, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth in just a minute, but you do talk quite a bit about AI. So can you share a little bit how you got interested in AI and how that became part of what you do for business?
Absolutely. So it really goes back to when I started working, because when I started working, I was the AI. So I was the person who was doing all the dumb stuff that nobody else wanted to do because I was the smallest link in the chain. So I was an apprentice. I started out my career and I really had to do all that stuff that today you wouldn't even dare to give to any employee automatically. Like I had to manually like change names of companies that so that they're all called the same. Now you just let a software run and say do it like the same thing 100 times, just repeat it. Now I did work for many years, like more than 15 years in IT project management. And obviously AI is an IT product at the end of the day. So I did had already way earlier than the general public touch points with AI. So I've seen like in 2014 stuff that is not even public. I cannot even share it officially, but like really cool things that back in 2014, so more than 10 years ago, people were already able to do that most of you would never know they exist. So really going from like social listening, like seeing something on the net and then actually responding in real time to that, guiding a customer to a store where they can pick up a coupon code. That was already possible more than 10 years ago, guys. So again, the general public usually gets it a little bit later. So I worked with those huge companies for many years and got to see technologies that small business owners just had no access to. And then when 2022 ChatGPT came out, obviously the whole accessibility level was reduced significantly. So up until this point, I couldn't tell my clients, do your websites yourself because it was just too complicated. But now there's software which literally creates you an entire website in 2 minutes while you just have a coffee. And if you don't like it, you just click regenerate until I like it. And then, of course, you still have to change the input to what you want. But like you can have a design ready, which used to take weeks to get it ready. Now it's like a matter of minutes. And now that it becomes so accessible, now business owners can actually start focusing on using the technology to get more results, more return on invest, because now it is that easy.
That is just blows my mind. It's like refresh and here's a website. I think people spend so much time when you're in business stressing about the minutia of the little things like I'm working on my website. I'm working on my website. You hear people say that and they're working on their website and it's 6 months later and they're still working on their
and
website.
it
I'm like,
doesn't and it
what's
doesn't even
happening?
generate money. That's the thing that people don't get. Yes, you need a website, it's a business card, but it doesn't make the money, so stop bothering about it. Put your name on, put your contact information in, say, hey, this is me, I have a business, I'm legit. Because the real sales comes via sales funnels, via landing pages. That's where the real money is, in the sales conversations. So don't stop stressing about your website.
And I think that's actually a really good point, and also why everyone needs a Mona in their life because somebody needs to tell you that. And I think that's a lot of times I'll say, "Oh, there's lots of people in business, and it's good to have a service or be good at your service or you have a product or whatever, but it's not the same as being really good at business. And not everybody is good at business, right? Like they don't understand the business part of it, which is why you have to have people like yourself, Mona, pointing out that is everything, right? Let me do what I'm good at and help find the people who can do the things that I don't know anything about, which is you. Mona, we're going to take a really quick break here and then we're going to come back and I want to talk a little bit more about AI and how this has affected really like the world and also how it's affected business and maybe some of the implementation on that and the implications of AI on today's business. We'll be right back.
If everything inside you rejects doing marketing because it feels salesy, or if you find it difficult to reach your ideal clients with your message, then join the next Magnetic Marketing Masterclass. In this masterclass, I'll show you my 3-step blueprint on how to get 100 new leads with ease. Go to bit.ly/100 new leads or scan the QR code on the screen to sign up for free.
And we are back with Mona Tenjo, and we were previously talking about all things tech. And one of the things that Mona mentioned was AI. And so I want to dive into that a little bit with you, Mona. What do you think the biggest impact of AI is on business today, on entrepreneurs that are building businesses or coaches when they're building their business? What do you think the biggest impact for AI has been?
Speed. Speed to market. I think this is really the biggest thing. And I think people, the majority of people still underestimate that big time. Especially since we are right now at the brink of we are in the brink of exponential growth. So that means there are always technologies that take a long amount of years until they actually reach their full scope of what they can do. So Google is around for close to 30 years. Google is right now coming in the phase of actually being complete, if you can say it like that. So it always takes around 30 years of technology to actually build up. Now, AI is not just around since yesterday. AI started like in the 40s, no, in the 50s actually, and end of the 40s. So it started close after the war, basically. And the evolution was freezing a little bit in the 80s because of investments and technology was not so ready. But now we are entering a phase where we are really at the brink of something that goes like that. So it means it's an exponential growth. And we are right now at the beginning of this curve. You start seeing it already. We just had DeepSeek that was coming out big time, shaking the market, right? Like we will start seeing a lot of different models, a lot of different technologies coming out. OpenAI just launched their bots, at least for the US. I'm in Germany. I always have to wait a little bit longer for that. But the US already has their chat agents, their bots. They have AI agents. An agent is basically something which, think of Iron Man and like how Tony Stark is talking to his assistant. That's an AI agent. Like instead of you doing the website yourself, like even with a tool that makes it faster, now you don't even have to touch the keyboard anymore. Now you can just say, do that for me. Paint my website in blue. Then maybe the AI says light blue or dark blue. Then you can say, pick something, whatever looks best. And then you don't even have to touch it anymore. And so stuff is going to get done so fast, so quick, that it will become more and more important to focus on what is real human skill. So that means critical thinking. Like, where's the source? Is that a reliable source? Should I trust the source? Which tool should I be using? DeepSeek actually had a big data leak. That's an issue when companies grow too quick, too fast. Then usually they have some security issues because they have to cut some corners to catch up on the market. And then usually such things happen. So sometimes it's better to wait a little bit and not jump immediately in, just to wait until they fix those issues. So I'm a big fan of moving first, but sometimes you want to wait a little bit to at least let them fix the main issues before you jump in, okay? But you want to stay up to date. So you want to make sure you are informed what's going on, about your possibilities, about thinking, how can I use that for my business? How can I make this, how can I monetize this, right? How can I make use of this? How can I use it in a way that I can focus on my core skill, which is for many of my clients, coaching people, right? Instead of wasting my time on administrative stuff or the stuff that really doesn't bring you joy, but also not your clients.
I feel like doing this. I'd rather be talking to somebody than doing anything tech. And that's really interesting, Mona. When you were sharing that, I was thinking to myself, how is it then, Mona, that a coach or a business owner stands out when everyone is running fast, if you will? How is it ultimately that that individual makes that impact they want to do while they're making the income they want? And how do they I don't want to say jockey for position, but how do you get yourself out in front when everyone's using the same types of tools?
By using the tools better than the others. So that means, so for example, I've just actually commented a few minutes before our call started to somebody in a Facebook group who actually copied an entire paragraph of ChatGPT. How do I know? Because it even said, here is an improved version of your positioning. And I was like, really? Wow. And I actually commented back and was like, maybe next time you want to delete that part. And actually, if you look at what you actually got from the tool, it's like fluff. It's like, this is what many people make the mistake. They use the tools, but they don't know what a good result looks like. So they just copy paste random stuff, which is not in line with their audience, which is not in line with their own values, which is not even something that they would normally say. As you said, I'm German. I don't use certain words because I cannot pronounce them. So if you know me, you know that I would not use such words because I cannot pronounce them. So putting them in my written writing is totally inauthentic because
Right.
I don't even know that word.
And you make a good point that, it is a tool to use to enhance the you, right? If you're using it to replace yourself, then it's not really you, it's just manufactured stuff. Took a class from one of the other WoW warriors, actually. And one of the things that she said that was so important, which I think is maybe overlooked because people just run in, use a tool, and they don't know how to use it, but she talked about how, when you start to use a tool like Chat GPT, is that you introduce yourself, you talk about yourself, your mission, your vision, your values, who you are, how you show up, how you impact, who your clients are. You actually like almost, I envision it sort of writing a letter about yourself to introduce who you are, because that then helps the tool respond in your voice. Is that correct?
Yes and no. It depends a bit on the purpose of what you're trying to do, right? So in some scenarios, it makes sense to do that. There are also in most of the tool sections where you can actually store that information generically so that you don't have to repeat it all the time. So for
Right.
example, how do you want the chat to respond? Like you can give examples of this is my tone. This is how I usually speak. So you can copy an old email or chat messages and say, this is how I usually speak. Use that kind of tone, or a typical joke you do, typical sayings you do, right? So you could input that generically. Now, I have some situations when I'm looking for specific information where I don't have to give all the background on me because it's more about my customer. And this is what many people get wrong in marketing. It's not about you, it's about the customer. So you want to be more interested in actually telling who your customer is. And this is really the cool thing because AI is really good in dialing into the psychographic of people. If you say, this is what I do, who would be the best client for that? Now you have to give some extra information like what's the price point, how long is it, how much time investment, because that depends on who would be a good client. If it takes a lot of time, it doesn't cost a lot of money. You can reach maybe some people who have a little bit more spare time. But if it takes a lot of time and it costs a lot of money, the people who may have the money may not be able to do that because they don't have time.
Yep.
And it can also help you figuring such things out and finding red flags and saying that combination doesn't really work. Now, I have to say, chat will not tell you by itself. You have to challenge it. You have to say, dear chat, that doesn't sound like a realistic person. Double check. And then chat might say, you're right. So you do, that's the critical thinking piece. You have to challenge it. Don't just take everything at face value.
Yeah, I love that, and that's just not something that would have ever occurred to me. I've used it before, and I think it's such a cool tool, but also the whole, I don't know, the whole process is a learning process, right? Because that's just not something that you just know, and you can't learn that by just doing it. You have to learn that from somebody. And I know I have learned a tremendous amount from you, and I'm currently taking a class with you as well, which I do know that we're going to talk about this because it is a class that I actually, even just in the free class that you offer, learned some great nuggets that I've already implemented. And I love the value that you give. I will tell you that in your classes, that it is massive value. You will learn, regardless if anyone hires you to work with you, you will still gain great value. I think it's one of your I want to say greatest assets really is that you share and you're passionate about helping. So let's talk about the master class. And I know you doesn't matter when someone is watching this, you do this class regularly. Can you talk a little bit about the class, Mona, and how somebody might be using that class?
Absolutely. So it's really called in essence the magnetic marketing masterclass. And it's really showing you how you can easily generate 100 leads in less than 10 days. And now obviously you may have heard a lot of the things like in other classes already. However, in this class, I'm going to show you that it is really simple and helping you to get through that noise, because there are like 20,000 methodologies out there that you could be using, but it comes down to a few very distinct steps. And this is a 3-step process that I'm sharing in this masterclass. And of course, as Sherri already said, like I'm adding a lot of bonuses in terms of a lot of AI best practices, what works right now. And so if you know me, like none of the masterclasses is ever really the same, because depending on the new cases I have or the work with my clients, I will always add new examples and different news stories that you may have never heard before. So it's always a great thing to come back as well, but also to actually just join the first time if you've never been there. Because again, as Sherri said, like my goal is that you go away and you already have something to implement. And if you want help, of course, obviously I'm going to make you an offer, obviously, but it's your choice whether you want to have the help or not. I just want to make sure that you go and you actually have the best 90 minutes ever to have, to improve your marketing. And this is running regularly, so definitely once a month for sure. So whenever you click on the link, the next upcoming date is visible. And sometimes I also do it in a 2-week frequency. That depends a little bit on how many other cool things I'm still doing. So as part of my email list, you will be informed about everything I'm doing. So just sign up for any event and you will know about what's going on.
I love that, Mona, and your servant heart really shows in that, and you can really see that in your class. You want the people that attend to truly walk away with those leads, and I know you have actually a very high level masterminding group that you run as well, and people can book a call with you, obviously, to talk about what that looks like, and you're very invested, I know, in helping those business owners succeed. And you really put all of you into helping them yield what they're after. And I think it's an amazing partnership to be in with you. And the best first step is going to be really taking advantage of that master class. Mona, let's talk about where somebody can connect with you, because there's so much ever changing, as we talked about, in AI. And I love that you're like literally at the cutting edge and willing to continue your education and share it as you learn it. So, where can somebody connect with you so they can make sure they keep up with it, all the AI stuff as well?
With all will be difficult, but LinkedIn is definitely a very good first step, because you just type in my name and I'm pretty much the only person with that name. It's the easiest way to find me. It's the social network I usually where I'm really responding regularly to my messages. So if you send me a Facebook message, it may end up in spam, so I might not necessarily see it. But on LinkedIn, it comes to me and I can see it and respond to you. So that's the easiest entry point. If you really type in my name, you will find me on pretty much any social media, but that's LinkedIn is the one where you actually can expect a response.
Awesome. Now, I do know you also have a free gift that you can offer, and you'll have to tell us where we would go to get that, Mona, or just to contact you, and tell us a little bit about what it's about.
Absolutely. So it's called 10-minute coaching client clarity. Use AI to find your perfect match. And it is actually really, it's a training. So you can really see me in action training people. And so basically it's a summary of how to make a good prompt in the beginning, right? But then I'm showing you in 6.5 minutes. So actually 10 minutes is a little bit lowballing. It's actually only 6.5. And basically that entire training is designed to help you find your ideal client that can actually pay you at the end of the day, to make sure that you don't market to people, because this is the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes in marketing, that you market to people who can't afford you. And so that training will help you to identify who should be your client based on what you currently offer. And so it's guiding you step by step with the prompts and everything through it. And then it's also helping you at the end, like, what do you do next now that you have that information? And the way to get it is the shortest link that I can give you now, also orally. It's bit.ly, so bit.ly/clients in 10.
Nice.
Clients in 10. Okay. So clients in 10 minutes, basically. So,
I love that. And, the interesting thing, you made such a good point. It is not just about finding your ideal client, it's about finding the ideal client that can pay you. And I think that's probably a disconnect for a lot of business owners. And if you've stayed with us and watched this far, that should be your $1,000,000 nugget right there is I need to know who my ideal client is who will pay me.
yeah.
And so I thank you for that. And thank you for the freebie as well. And we'll put that in all the places so people can grab that as well. And I'm sure that if you connect on LinkedIn with Mona, she can make sure that you get access to that training as well.
It's pinned at the top. You
It's
can't
pinned at
miss
the
it.
top. How can you miss it? Just go to linkedin.com and go to search for Mona Tenjo, and you will be able to grab that freebie. So I want to say thank you so much, Mona, for being with me and being my guest today. I know you already know that I think you're just an amazing human being, but I love how you serve and I love the heart with which you do serve and how you help your clients. I think is just an amazing that it's nothing short of amazing. So I want to give you just 1 second to just share. Is there anything that you would like to leave our viewers with, a last word of wisdom, maybe on how they can integrate AI into their business, or anything that you just want to leave a gem for our
Yeah.
viewers?
Really consider AI as your sparring partner. Okay. You can ask it any question. Now, again, don't take it as face value, but if you have a problem in your business, ask AI, what do you think? What should I be doing? What are my options? If you have already some options in your mind, put them in and say, this is what I'm currently thinking about. What do you think? Am I missing anything? It works with any tool. If you say, I'm stuck in a tool, type it in, go to AI and say, I'm stuck at this tool. What do I need to do? Now, it will not always be 100% correct, but 98% is pretty damn good. And you will get your information step by step, which as a German, I love it. Everything step by step, right? And then you will see very quick if that is the ultimate right solution, if it gets you already to the end. In most cases, it will. And if not, again, you can give feedback and say, Dad, I don't have this button. What do I do now? And then they will give you an alternative option. So you can pretty much solve any business problem with AI. So I really encourage you, don't be afraid, step in, use it, and really take your business to the next level without standing in your own way, by just using it.
I love that. And that's golden wisdom there. So thank you so much, Mona, for being my guest today. And as always, I highly recommend working with you, Mona, and people will learn. So do connect with her, and we'll see you next time.